So imagine when you're speaking nicely to another human being. I'll tell you this right now. I had the most beautiful exchange with somebody last night where they literally said, when I have time with you, I just feel so good about myself. You see something in me that nobody else sees and you express it. And so in that moment, I actually got to see this facial expression of this person change. And not only did he was feeling great, but I felt great going, wow, I created change for somebody in their life. They see something differently in themselves.
Welcome to the Kindness Factor podcast, sharing life-changing personal stories of the transformational impact of deep kindness. Hosted by
Dr. Elia, the happiness doctor.
And Randy McNeely, the kindness giver. Thank you for joining us. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome to another episode of the Kindness Factor podcast. I'm Randy McNeely, your co-host, along with my wonderful co-host, Dr. Elia Gourgouris, the happiness doctor. And there he is. And he's in Utah today, out there visiting with family, with grandkids, and just having a great time. And we are thrilled, absolutely thrilled to be joined with, or I should say by, our wonderful friend, Jacqueline Way from Vancouver, Canada. We're so thrilled to have you on the show today, Jacqueline. I'm going to share just a little bit about Jacqueline.
Wait.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Elia's got something personal to say. Let's hear it.
This is my own unofficial introduction. Jacqueline Way has her ways, and let me tell you her ways.
Look out.
Unconditional love. We start with that. Kindness
and
days, from her heart all over the world, and the dearest friend that we love and adore. So that's my unofficial introduction, Jacqueline. Now the official introduction. Take it away, Randy.
All right, official introduction. What can I say after that? The truth is, Jacqueline is someone who is dedicated to serving humanity and to giving love away every day. Her purpose in life is to teach and inspire and empower the hearts and minds of people globally. She's working to create a happy, meaningful life and world together. And the way she expresses her purpose is through her global movement called 365 Give. It's a wonderful charitable organization that was created with her 3-year-old son with a simple vision to change the world, one give, one day at a time. She's a world-renowned keynote speaker. Her TEDx talk, How to Be Happy Every Day, It Will Change the World, has reached over 8 million people. She's also a philanthropist. Yes, I can say that word. Philanthropist. And a wonderful leader. She's absolutely committed to living the highest expression of who she is through her work, her family, and by touching the lives of others 365 days of the year. Jacqueline Way, welcome to our show. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. There's no two people I would rather spend my morning with first thing than you two. I will be ready to go out and change the world by the time we're done today.
You know what the word philanthropy is in Greek, right? Given that I'm Greek. Philanthropy is 2 words in one, meaning lovers of people or love people or friendship of people. Mm-hmm. So you love people so deep and so big, and that's why we love you too. So welcome.
Thank you. I think that's the beauty of the three of us, right? We understand this, and it's how we show up in the world, and it's how we know we can make the greatest difference is just truly by love.
Well, that's the beautiful thing that about having friendships like we share. Mm-hmm. And we're so grateful for you being willing to come on today, because we know that being the give master that you are, being the caring, kind soul that you are, that you have dozens of experiences with kindness. And we wonder if you would be open to sharing with our audience maybe 1 or 2 of those experiences that have touched your heart, that have really impacted you, that stick in your mind, and that have inspired you to do what you're doing. Do you have anything you can share with us?
I have to say, we had said at the beginning of this before we started, is there are so many endless, beautiful experiences that I have been fortunate to have because of my charitable organization, but really because I started 365 Give with my son when he was 3. And I think those are some of the most impactful moments in so many ways, because when you're out in the world, what you said, I'm love because I practice love. When you talk about giving and we talk about how we can change the world, when you practice giving every day for 365 days, it becomes your daily meditation, your mindful practice. All of those practices that the monks sit and do sitting on the top of the mountain, it's one of those practices that when you do it in your daily life with intention, coming from your heart with no expectation of anything in return, all of a sudden you view the world in a whole different light. And not only are you innately and naturally via a habit giving every day and being kind every day, but it starts to come back to you. And I think that's one of the things through our stories that we get to share is when it all starts to come full circle. And so I think there's a few stories, I'm happy to share, but I think one of the greatest things that have come back to me through kindness is what I've seen in my son. So when we started 365 Give, he was 3. We did one small thing to give back to the world every day for 365 days. That's the whole premise of 365 Give, is that it's so simple a 3-year-old can do it. He's now 16. If you saw him, he's a tower and huge. But that's the greatest thing that has come back to me through kindness, is that I've seen what this has cultivated in my child. I've seen that over the years, if there's one thing everybody says about my son, from teachers to other parents to his friends, is what a kind, compassionate, loving little human being he is in all areas of his life. It's just become who he is. And that's the greatest reward that I've gotten through kindness, is that by being kind, that has now come back as the expression of this beautiful little child I'm so blessed to have in my life, along with my other 2 boys as well. So I would say for me, the story that comes most dear to me is just seeing my son as the man I hoped he would grow into and who he is today. If I've grown a kind, compassionate, loving man in this world, to me, that changes absolutely everything. And I know that I'm doing my greatest service to the world that way.
How do you find 365 things to do with a 3-year-old that
Well,
from your
first of
kindness?
all, I'm glad you asked me that question, because people ask me that all of the time. First of all, we didn't do something different every day. People always say, well, how do you do something different every day? Well, you don't. There's lots of things that we had. We recycled our garbage every week. We collected cans and bottles that every 2 weeks we take to the depot and collect the money. And then we built a roof on a school in Africa at the end of a year.
Wow.
Every time we went to the park or down to the beach, we picked up garbage everywhere we went. So we had certain things that we did that it became our routine to do. Nick was still in a stroller at the time. We had like his push bike and his stroller all in the same, breath as we'd go down to the beach, but we always had our bags with us. And so we would just do these things as we went. We really incorporated them into our daily lives. This is when people were just starting to bring their cloth bags or their reusable bags to the grocery store. So, we went to the grocery store 3 times a week. So that would be part of our giving habit, is that it became automatic. We'd bring our bags with us to the grocery store, or we would go to the Sally Ann, right? Our favorite thing to do. Kids love to shop. So, when we needed clothes or we needed toys or a little something special, we'd go to the Sally Ann, we'd do our shopping, but we'd always bring a donation at the same time. So it was really how you incorporate this into your life. But I think the big part of this, and it's like a mindful practice, as you both know, is that you set the intention at the beginning of the day that you're going to do this. So now you've literally set your brain to go look for the opportunities to give, right? And then when you go out and you do these things, you recognize it. So we would always call it out. We still do in our house. My husband literally just got home from his run and he said, I just found 7 ways to give today. And that was him coming in the
Awesome.
door. It's just become part of our culture in our house. And the words that we use is when we do something, oh, we did our 365 give today. So it's just the language and the culture that you foster in your own homes. We foster this in schools, then we foster it to the broader global scale. But it really is, it becomes innately who you are.
It's absolutely amazing what you just said. In the first portion and now, you use the word intention, and you also use the word cultivate when you were talking about your son. You planted the seed of kindness early when he was like 3 years old.
Before they get completely destroyed by the outside world, right?
Yeah.
Different
But see,
patterns
what
happen in their
you
head.
did, you planted that seed, and then you watered it and nurtured it and cultivated it over time
And practiced it,
intentionally.
right?
You've
Mm-hmm.
intentionally done those things. It's not some random thing that you've been doing.
No,
You've been intentionally cultivating him, nurturing him, and yourselves and your
and
husband, your
myself.
family,
Mhm.
to be able to look for the random opportunities that come up, because random opportunities to give kindness come up all the time, but you are intentionally looking for them. You're opening
Absolutely.
your eyes. You've got your I call them my kindness antennas. You've got your kindness antennas up.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And when you're intentionally looking, that's when opportunities that have been there a lot of times have been there all along, but you just didn't notice them because you were not paying attention.
Yeah.
That's when magic starts to happen.
Well, and it does, but we train, and Dr. Elia knows this as well, right? This is how we train our brain, but it's innately who we are. So naturally, every human being when you're born has not only the ability, but your true nature is to be of service to the world. That's who we are. And when we're born, when a baby is born, they come out as pure love. It's naturally how we come out into this world. Even me, I have 3 adopted boys who, honestly, they had a rough start in their lives. Even before they came out of the womb, they had already had a rough start to their lives. But when they came out, those little babies, I promise you, because I got to see them, pretty much as soon as they came out, they were just pure love, right? It was that simple. The outside world had not programmed them into anything at that point. Probably a little bit of fear stuck in their nervous systems, but that can be brought, we can work with that. We can nurture that. We can, teach that in a different way. We can teach the regulation, but what we know is that at the heart of who we are, we're love. We just have to remind ourselves of that. And giving is the beautiful way to connect yourself to your heart and remind yourself who you truly are.
And like you truly created neural pathways in that
Mhm.
little 3-year-old brain.
Yes.
Neural pathways are going to get created whether we like it or not,
Yeah.
in benevolent or perhaps malevolent forces. You grew up in
Mhm.
an abusive home, you grew up in a neglected home, and so on. There will be neural pathways that much later on, as adults, after much trauma, we're going to try to go into therapy and do all kinds of treatments, modalities to
Try
change
and
the
fix
neural
it.
pathways, to change it, to bring it
Right.
back. But you, on the other hand, created those neural pathways for this boy. And I'm sure it became almost like a game, because for a 3-year-old picking up trash, well, that doesn't sound like a lot of fun, but it can be fun
It
to
can be
recycle.
fun. We
It
made it
can be
lots of
fun.
fun.
And then you look for
Absolutely.
them. It's like, Mom, look what I found. And you put it in the
Yeah.
bag, right? So the neural pathways of giving, even though it's innate, you created like some very deep grooves in the brain.
Mhm.
And that's
Big
never going to
roads.
change. It's never
Yeah.
going to change now. This is
And I
it.
want
That's it.
everybody to realize that, our brains are plastic, right? We know that we can change these pathways in our brains at any time. It's why now meditation is such a big thing, because we know that we can start to build new neural pathways in our brain. Even when you're old, like all of us, we can still do that, and we can create these pathways very easily. For most people, on average, it takes about 66 days to create a new habit and create these new pathways. And then all of a sudden, not only does it become a habit, and you naturally do it, right? Because now you have these new roads in your brain that have been created, and you will naturally look for those opportunities to be kind, to give, to help an animal, to take care of our planet. All of those things that your brain is now trained to do, and your eyes will start looking for those opportunities. And that can happen for all of us. It's easier with a kid, obviously, because their brains are just developing. But imagine if we had a world where every child, that was their practice at the age of 3, where they learn to give. That was their practice 365 days a year, whether you're in preschool or you do this with your family, you're at home. Literally, we would have created an entire different world. A world would
Absolutely.
not be what it is today.
Well, and think about that. The fact is that we know that we can't reach every person, but if we can, even just with what we're sharing today, if we can inspire or influence one person or two people or three people to go out and think about, how can I help my kids? How can I help my children or other children
Or
if I
others. You can do this at
or
work. You could do
whatever,
it as a work project,
how
right?
can I help people to want to be kind, to
Mhm.
think about what they can do to make a difference, to change somebody's life. One of our previous guests, and I love thinking about this, a lady named Jody Orgill Brown, talked about how with every interaction we have, we can change a life. We can make somebody's life better. We can improve how they're feeling about themselves. And as you continue to practice, like you've talked about, you practice over and over and over again, you can create those new grooves. One of the things that is interesting about what you said is because in the prevailing view in the world for a long, long time has been that you are how you are what you are, and once you're that way, and you can't
That's not
change.
true. That's
Not
not
That's
true.
true.
absolute baloney.
Yeah.
We know that we can
We
change.
know that. We know that.
And even
Yeah. We
even
know
as you,
behavior can
even as
change.
you get older,
Yep.
Carol Dweck, the book
Yep.
Mindset, that talks about how we can change the way that we think, that we act, that we receive and understand things. But like you said, it takes practice. It takes time. It's not,
Yes.
especially as we get older, it's not easy. I think it gets
Yep.
more challenging and harder because, especially if we have
Get set in our ways, right?
long-standing habits.
Yep.
But even old dogs can learn new tricks. I'm Randy McNeely, co-host of the Kindness Factor podcast and co-creator of the Kindness Factor Human Interest series. Thank you so much for listening. We sincerely appreciate you. So here's the question for you. Do the guests and the messages we're sharing resonate with you? If so, we'd like to invite you to join us in our efforts to spread love through kindness around the world. You can do so simply by visiting our Buzzsprout subscription page at the link listed in the description and taking out a monthly subscription. You can pay up to $10 per month. Your support will enable us to continue to deliver great content and to take our message to a much broader audience. Remember, with kindness, everybody wins. Thank you for your support.
And I really want people to think about this as well. And sometimes we don't always fully understand this, but I like to think of it as the ROI of kindness and giving is that human impact, right? So you were just talking about this, that when we give, and listen, again, I always say it's not just to another human being, it's to our planet, it's to animals. The exchange is the profound part, because not only are we creating change outside of ourselves, we're changing our mind, because now we're not stuck in our head and we're putting our attention somewhere outside of maybe where our own problems are lying, or how our monkey mind is getting us a little stuck in our own lives. But this changes us physically. So what we know about kindness and giving is that it's your daily dose of happiness. I always call it this, right? So it's your dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and the endorphins in your body are firing and wiring off. So that changes your expression, how you show up in the world. And that also has an impact. We've got the happiness doctor here with us. And what we know is that when you're happy, that radiates out. When you're love, that radiates out to everyone around you. So when you start working on the math that giving and kindness, they increase your happiness, they increase your well-being, they make your mental health better and your physical health better. You take all of those factors, you times that by every single day, times 365 days, and then you add the compound interest to that, right? So what we know and science tells us is that giving and kindness ripples to at least 3 degrees of separation. It increases our happiness, our well-being, our mental health, and our health by anywhere from 15 to 20%. And then you add the compound interest to that. By the end of your life, you are so much healthier. You are so much happier. You've had a meaningful, purposeful life. And that has affected every single person that you've touched over the course of your lifetime. That's the real ripple effect. I call it the human impact measurement, where that ripple effect travels the whole course of your life to thousands and thousands of people. Listen, not everybody's going to stand on a TED stage and do a talk that touches 8 million and that ripples. But we all have that power through the use of our phones, right? Because we talk to people every day. Our phones listen to us. We're on social media. How are you creating this now algorithm in your life that amplifies and touches literally thousands and thousands over the course of your lifetime? That's purpose and meaning in your life by just one small action every day.
You know what's really amazing having this podcast with you, Randy? We get to bring these brilliant people on the air, and we love our sister, Jacqueline.
Mhm.
And for me to wake up this morning in Utah and learn something new at my age is wonderful. Do you know that I no, and here's what I learned from you, Jacqueline. I've always thought of kindness as doing kindness to other people. I
Mm-mm.
had never considered that doing kindness for the planet or for animals, like being kind to an animal and stroking them and talking to them and just like, holding them or whatever, that's an act of kindness. I had never considered that.
Oh,
But
that's our
so
whole thing. That's what we're all
I know,
about all
but
of it,
that's actually
right?
kind of new to me because we do
Yeah.
those things all the time. Oh, I see something on the ground, I pick it up, I throw it in the trash. Never think
Mhm.
that that's an act of kindness to the planet.
Oh, for sure it
I had
is.
never made
Yeah.
that connection until today. Or when
Well,
you
we're all interconnected, right? The whole world is interconnected. When I breathe in and I breathe out, somewhere on the other side of the planet is going to get that at some point, right? But it's the same when you have an interaction with a tree. When I breathe in and breathe out, I'm feeding that tree because that tree needs my carbon dioxide, right? And I need the oxygen that the tree gives. Same with the ocean, right? Our ocean gives us the most oxygen in our whole ocean. So when I'm keeping the ocean clean, I'm keeping the garbage out of the ocean, I'm actually feeding myself at the same time, right? So we're all so interconnected. You pick up garbage, the fish aren't eating it. Well, guess what? I eat fish. I live in Vancouver. I eat salmon. So if I'm cleaning up garbage, again, it's a full circle where I'm helping the planet. I'm helping the fish. I'm helping feed my family clean food. So it's this whole beautiful intertwined circle. One isn't separate from the other because everything in our planet is interconnected.
No, it makes sense. I had just never put the dots together. I never connected that those are
Do,
also
do, do.
active. No, I know, right? Like I'll go around in our backyard. We have a big backyard with lots of trees, and I'll talk to them. I'm like, "You look
Yeah,
so good today. You look so healthy today." And
right.
if somebody was listening to me, I'm like, "Okay, Elia has totally lost it. He's gone over to the other side."
Oh, I'm completely a
But
tree hugger. I'm a complete tree
but
hugger. Yeah.
I'm serious. Like I do that, and
Yeah.
I feel like I mean, they're alive. And I
Yeah,
feel like I
they are.
communicate in some ways. It's almost like even with my plants. I know this kind of maybe sounds stupid, but I do that. When I water them, it's like, you look so good today.
Well, you know what? There's been studies done. There's been
Yeah,
studies done
lots of
about,
them.
between people saying grouchy, grumpy things to plants and people saying kind things to plants. And the plants that have the kind things said to them honestly grow better than the ones that don't.
So for those of you that don't know how that works too, there's something called pheromone. And we have pheromone in our bodies. Plants have pheromone in their bodies. So we think we're so different. We're not. So when you speak nicely to a plant, or you go and you smell a flower, you have actually having an exchange of pheromones, doing that with animals as well. Even we know this, Randy, and if you haven't seen the tests on water, go see the Japanese researcher that has done the tests on water. When you speak nicely to water, it changes form. They can actually look under it under a microscope, and
What?
you'll see these beautiful. You've never heard of that research? Oh
No,
my
I'm learning more stuff
Lord.
Never
today.
heard of this
What?
Oh my
before.
Lord. Okay,
No,
so you got to do this.
explain
This
that.
is my
You
first
got to
thing
explain
that
that.
I do. I will. So when I wake up in the morning, every morning I start my day with a glass of lemon water, just as a cleanse. And I thank my water before I even drink it, because there's a researcher in Japan.
I'm doing it right
Um,
now. Thank you
there
for the
you
water.
go. Thank you. And what they can do and what they've done is when you speak nicely to water, they've put cups of water in two separate rooms. They speak not nicely. It's like the plant. Same thing with the plant theory, right? They speak not nicely. They put negative words literally written on paper in front of the water. They do the same thing with the other water, but in a positive way. They speak nicely to it. They thank it, put positive words in front of it. They flash freeze it. They put it under a microscope. One, the water shows up dark gray matter, almost dead. The other one shows up as these beautiful crystalline snowflakes that are absolutely stunning and beautiful. So imagine that human beings, beautiful example, how much percentage of water do we have in our bodies? What are we,
60%
86%?
plus.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
60%. So imagine when you're speaking nicely to another human being. I'll tell you this right now. I had the most beautiful exchange with somebody last night where they literally said, when I have time with you, I just feel so good about myself. You see something in me that nobody else sees and you express it. And so in that moment, I actually got to see the facial expression of this person change. And not only did he was feeling great, but I felt great going, wow, I created change for somebody in their life. They see something differently in themselves. Well, imagine now all this water that we have in our body has now changed in my body. It's changed in their body just because of that exchange, right? When you give somebody a compliment and all of a sudden you kind of see their shoulders rise and go, thank you. And all of a sudden, all of that water in their body has literally changed form, right? And then we look right down to the atoms at the cellular level. And when you look at the dark atom, the center of a cell, that's energy. It's no longer, we used to think that it was just literally black space, and it's not. So every cell in your body has an energetic frequency that's moving. So that changes as well when we're doing acts of kindness, acts of giving, having exchanges with people, the planet, animals. All of our frequency changes at an energetic level. This is science. It's not woo-woo. I'm not just talking spirituality. It's actually proven that all of this changes in our body.
That's an
I mean,
Imagine.
how often do we hear people saying, "I really needed to hear that today"?
Right. They
Yeah.
needed to feel it. They needed to hear
To
it
hear
because
it. Thank you.
sound is a frequency, right? And so when you hear that, your heart hears it. Our heart has the biggest, they can measure now the energetic frequency that comes off your heart, right? So your heart changes and then you're changed at a cellular level. So it's not just you were kind to somebody, right? This is the interaction that we have from our entire planet that changes everything. So we can say, I say this all the time, just one small act of giving can make a difference. But when we do this together, we change the world. Literally, we change the planet. We change the interaction between humans. We create peace. We create love. Everything changes. 8 billion people, it will only take half of us.
And you've really simplified the message, because sometimes people feel like an act of kindness has to be some grand gesture that may either cost money, I have to donate something, or you have simplified in such a way that kindness is upon us wherever we look at any moment of time.
It's all the view you choose to look at, right?
Yes,
It's
yes.
all the view. And what they know, and I'll tell again, science-based, it doesn't matter if you donate $100,000 or you do one small act of kindness, the reaction at your body level is the exact same. It doesn't have to be 5 hours of volunteer work. It's the same reaction your body has. But the big difference is when it's compounded every day over time, that's your greatest personal benefit. So if you're trying to change your own world, you're trying to change your own mind, you're trying to increase your health, your well-being, it's the simplest way to do it, literally by sending a friend a text message saying, I am so grateful for you, which how many text messages do we send a day? WhatsApp messages? And literally you could send 10 messages in less than a minute, and all of a sudden you've changed the structure of your body.
Oh my.
Wow.
Right? There we go. It's that simple. And then everyone around you, right?
Absolutely. Jacqueline, as well as I do, and Elia knows this, we could talk to you all day.
Oh, it can
We could
endless
talk to you
sense.
for a very long time.
We're going for the power of the fast message today.
But that's true. We've hit the point where it's about time for us to wrap up, but we would like
No, we got to keep going. No, we're not letting you go, Jacqueline.
I'll come back anytime. Don't you
what,
worry.
what we would love to hear, if you have, do you have just three little nuggets that you could share with our audience when it comes to with regards to kindness and making a difference?
Absolutely. Keep it simple.
What?
Stay in your own backyard. Don't think you have to go so far. Stay in your own backyard. Use the tools that are right in front of you to make a difference every day. You could be sitting on the couch and you could give. It's that simple.
Man, clear, concise, three nuggets, along with all the nugget wisdom bombs that you already dropped.
It's the mic drop today. I was ready.
It's first thing in the morning. We have a whole day ahead of us, at least as this is being filmed. And my heart is so full, like anything else that happens the rest of the day is the icing on the cake. This is the cake with all the frosting.
We just made the cake
We
today.
just made the cake, and we just like partaking
Here
of your
come the
love.
sprinkles.
You know what I said at the beginning of my informal introduction, partaking of your love and your spirit, your simplicity, but also scientific based data. I mean, you bring such a combination of both, and you make it so easily understood and applicable that literally anybody can do it every single day. And that's not a stretch. It's not an exaggeration. It's not a big ask. It's
No,
doable. And that's what I love about your message. So thank
thank
you.
you.
Mwah.
I love you. I love
I
you
love
both
you
so
too.
much. Thank you
We
for
love
allowing
you.
me this platform and the stage with you.
Yeah, we love you too, and we're so grateful to you for joining us, Jacqueline. Thank you so much for being part of our show today, being part of the podcast. How can our audience get in touch with you
Mm.
if they need to? How can they connect with you? What's the best way?
Absolutely. Well, please go and see our website, 365give.ca. You can go watch the TED Talk, How to Be Happy Every Day. It will change the world. Best way to reach me personally is on LinkedIn with Jacqueline Way. And I'm always checking the back end of our social channels for 365 Give on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter. We try. Or sorry, not Twitter, X. Yeah.
X.
Yeah. But I'd say Instagram, DM, or LinkedIn is the best way to reach me personally.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to our audience for joining us. We appreciate you. And if you have enjoyed this episode and enjoyed our other episodes, please remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel down below here and to our other social media channels if you are so inclined. We thank you so much. Oh, and remember that we've got a lot of great distributors via Apple Podcast, Spotify, etc. Any of those things you can do to support us, we sincerely appreciate it. Take care and enjoy the rest of your week. Until next time, thank you.
Thank you. And I know our batteries are full for the week, not just for the day, because of you. Thank you.
With
Namaste.
kindness,
Everybody wins.